Okay, I'll warn you right now. I don't really know how scary my experience will be when judged by someone a little more courageous than I am. I'm not a coward, but I get startled easily, and I'm definitely not the fearless type. I'm really just a normal guy. I want to make that clear before I tell you my story. We have to rewind the clock to about a month from today, and the time of the day was around 6 in the evening. I got out of my office and had to take a taxi or a Uber because my car was in the shop. I would have taken an Uber, but I saw a taxi stopped at a red light and I didn't feel like waiting for a ride. I had forgotten to schedule a ride with Uber before I was done with work. As you might have guessed, I hailed a taxi when the traffic light turned green and hopped inside when the driver stopped for me. As soon as I got in, I said, "Hey, how are you?" and then gave the driver my address. The car began moving, but the driver didn't utter a single word in that time. No hi or okay, I got ya. He said nothing and just drove. It's a little weird, but I just figured he's not the happy type. I was playing a game on my phone and didn't pay much attention to the outside for about 5 minutes. So when I looked up to glance at the street outside, I started to see that the driver was taking me to the opposite direction from my home. I said, "Sir, you are going in the wrong direction. Can you confirm my address?" And then I repeated my address to him. I waited for at least 20 seconds for him to say something, but he just kept driving. So then I angrily told him, "Stop the car, I'm getting off. Stop the car." He did stop moments later, but only because he was stuck at a red light. I tried to open the rear doors, but the locking mechanisms in the rear didn't function. By that point, I was 100% sure that I was riding with a psycho. I had to get out. I kicked his chair with all of my strength and kept at it until it actually began tilting forward as if the gears inside the chairs were coming loose due to the immense force I was hitting it with. I saw the light change to green and the psycho began moving again. But instead of going in full speed, he slowed the car down and parked it right in front of an apartment building. The strangest thing happened next. The psycho actually began crying, not like sobbing out of sadness, but it seemed like he was angry at the situation that he was in. It was a cry of frustration more than anything. After about a minute of listening to him crying, I had to say something. "If you don't open the door, one of us is going to die tonight. Don't think for a second that I'm back for my life. I'm gonna give you a fight. You better believe that." That's when I could hear the door unlocking, and so I quickly opened it, then jumped out of the taxi faster than you could say fudge. Outside, I got my phone out and took a picture of the license plate before the psycho sped off. I went to the police straight away and reported the incident in complete detail. It was obviously too late to track down the car, and I was fully expecting that. What I didn't expect was for the license plate to be registered to an eventual stolen car. And what I mean by that is the fact that the taxi was later reported stolen. Thereby, the picture of the license plate didn't help in any way to catch the perp. The stolen taxi was found a day later in a warehouse district 3 miles away from where I was dropped off. The psycho has not been seen since the night of the happening, and therefore I didn't get to find out the real reason behind the attempted kidnapping. I have a feeling that I may have been the first trial run for a virgin future serial killer. His first attempt was foiled by an overly aggressive victim, but the psycho learned something from it. And that's a bad news for the next person who will get caught napping by the psycho. Because he'll be better prepared, he won't be as nervous, and I'm sure he'll be much hungrier for a kill. Four years ago, I had a brain surgery after a serious beating I received from multiple gang members. I only remember getting hit in the head with a baseball bat, and the rest is blank. A cashier in a deli grocery store saw the whole thing. She called the emergency services and I was taken to the hospital. In the operating room, the doctors had to get inside my skull to stop a hemorrhage, and that's how I was saved. As the person that I am today, I wish I could tell you that I was a decent man who got tangled in an unfortunate situation. But the truth is, I was beat up by rival gang members. I did not live a good life prior to my brain surgery. I was a pathetic gangbanger. What happened after the brain surgery was a change in personality. Actually, that's putting it too simply. It was more than that. I began to see everything differently, and so I treated everything and everyone differently. I used to be an aggressive person, the attacking type, but today I'm calm as the clear night skies. I don't know if it was the severe impact that I received with the bat or if something happened during surgery, but something must have happened to my brain on that fateful day because it has changed me into a completely new man. In fact, the changes were so dramatic that even till this day, my sister thinks that I'm putting on an act. For what reason I would do that, I don't know, but she thinks I'm full of it, which sadly is a testament to how poorly I lived my life prior to the assault. So in a nutshell, I lost the aggression in me due to the accident. But it wasn't a pure loss because I had actually gained something from it as well. Today, I have the ability to read, remember, and predict patterns in people. For example, I work with a college professor currently. Well, it's more like that I'm a test subject, but I do get paid, and it has been my main source of income for several years now. In my teenage years, I haven't attended a single day of high school, but nowadays I get to see, speak, and mingle with lots of college students Monday through Friday. I look at them and I'm able to make mental notes of their habits. The little detail, like how Mandy likes to be seated alone for 3 to 5 minutes after entering the lab before she's fully able to interact with others. She needs a warm-up like an old car in cold weather. Bobby, on the other hand, is self-aware that he's too hyper-energetic. When he has to be seated, he uses tremendous amount of physical strength to put tension in his leg muscles to try to release some of that pent-up energy. I pick up on those small details and habits, then build the mental profiles of the individuals I interact on a daily basis. After a while, I'm able to predict their actions and speeches to a degree. That's the simplified explanation of my newfound ability. It's hard to explain it in words on how I see the world. But if I really had to explain it so a normal person could understand it, I would tell them that it's like picking up a scent. Like a wolf smells something and it instantly recognizes that the scent belongs to an intruder or perhaps to a member of its own pack. It's instinctive as much as it's learned. So when you examine the entire study of Professor Lang's, the students involved in the experiment are also test subjects as much as I am. Although there are some clear differences, such as my brain getting scanned and mapped, the same contractual responsibility does not apply to the students. I also share my findings with the professor, and by findings I'm speaking of the mental profile that I continue building on the students. With that information, we assess each individual's trajectory in terms of academic achievement, mental health, and social hierarchy. My findings have proven to be very accurate so far, to a degree that it scares me a little. But we'll discuss that later in the story after I tell you what happened a couple of years back. I began working with the professor 3 years ago. After a year, I told him I wanted to quit, and that was mainly because I was making so much money playing poker. Upon being informed of my resignation, the professor asked me how much I was making. I jokingly told him that he couldn't afford me, but the only funny part of the statement was my tone because I really was making a ton of money playing poker. With that being told, the laugh didn't last long. Professor Lang offered quite a substantial amount a year of salary to continue working on his project, and that's when it dawned on me that he was working for an entity that's much bigger than the university that was fronting the study. This became clear as day when the direct deposits to my bank account began arriving from some shell company after I had accepted the bump in salary. I didn't want to accept the offer, but it's not like I had an option. When Professor Lang offered more money, I told him that I still wanted to quit. That's when he strongly suggested that I should really reconsider. He told me that my life could get much more difficult if I refused the offer. He also used cryptic language to stress the fact that he didn't have control over the study. He was basically trying to tell me that the friendly threat wasn't coming from him, but rather from someone much more prominent. That is why I continued to participate in the project, and I still do till this day. I'm unable to provide you with full details of the study, but I can tell you that it's being used to create an algorithm which will combine the use of specialty cameras, for instance ones with facial recognition features, along with various sensors to replicate my ability, if you can call it that. Although not by 100%, I'm able to hypothesize the basic traits of any individual within minutes of seeing them, and I do it at a high rate of success. As you might imagine, an ability like that can be used in many different applications, but not many that you can estimate as being positive. In my hands, the worst that I can do is to win some money at a poker game. But imagine if a private corporation got a hold of it. Just how many people's career will such algorithm alter? What about the government? They could build an entire database of its citizens to create a near-accurate profile of every individual and use that to target specific persons, alter political decisions, and even influence elections. I never thought of the consequences that would befall for bringing my ability to light. At first, I didn't think I had it, but during Professor Lang's study, it was proven to be real. After that, I thought I was doing a good thing by using my ability to live a new life, a better one. Now I feel danger looms closer as we near the completion of the study. Once I'm no longer needed to create the new algorithm, would the people in charge want me around? I'm the only person who can prove the algorithm's existence with my ability. I could potentially put those who are funding the study in hot seats. Even to me, it makes perfect sense to get rid of me. I tell you my story because I feel like it should be told to someone. I've contacted reporters to speak about the study, but not one person took me seriously. I've come to an understanding that I will not be able to bring this issue to light. I just wanted to tell it to someone. I'd like to be remembered by at least a few people. That is all.